Amityville, New York's Long Island, 1975. In the notorious Amityville house, Ed and Lorraine Warren are seated with the Letts family. Ronald DeFeo, Jr. killed his family with a shotgun a year prior, and the Letts family says they have been seeing ghostly figures during a seance led by the Warrens. Lorraine experiences a vision in which she finds herself in Ronald's shoes the night of the murders. She sees herself doing the deeds, initially with Ronald's parents and subsequently with his 3 siblings. Then Lorraine sees a man dying and a demonic entity assuming the form of a nun. Ed grabs Lorraine out of the vision as she screams and gives her comfort. In Enfield, England, 3 years later, character Jonna Hodgson is sitting outside the school with her friend Camilla, who is puffing on a cigarette. Just before a teacher comes outside to reprimand the girls for smoking, she hands it to Jonna. After seizing the cigarette, she takes a puff. Jonna resides with her mother Peggy, her younger brothers Johnny and Billy, and her older sister Margaret. The Hodgsons are having financial difficulties. Billy's speech impediment causes him to be bullied at school, and the children's father abandoned them for a neighbor woman. Being a single parent causes self-doubt for Peggy. While Jonna and Margaret are sleeping through the night, Jonna starts to sense an unsettling presence. She appears to be talking to herself at first, but then she responds in a raspy, growling voice, declaring, "This is my house," until Jonna stands by Margaret's bed and an older man's voice from behind Margaret repeats the statement. Margaret believes Jonna is playing around. Margaret flips on the light, and there's no one following her. She chooses to keep the light on while she sleeps. The Warrens are back in the United States, appearing on a talk show to talk about the Amityville case. The other show guest criticizes Lorraine's purported clairvoyance after discounting the case as a hoax. Ed becomes enraged by this and starts arguing with the other man. Lorraine comforts him in the wings. Billy and Jonna use a turntable to play music to the melody of "There Was a Crooked Man." Jonna ties her arm to the bed as the kids go to sleep. She finds herself on the living room floor, having no idea how she got there. Billy notices a toy fire truck on the floor as he moves through the house. Shortly after, he rolls it into a tent in the hallway. The truck drives into Billy's room. A loud moan escapes him as he returns outside and rolls it into the tent. Margaret hears Billy running to his mother's room and a pounding at her door. Shortly after, he rolls it into a tent in the hallway. When she opens it and Jonna comes back, she finds nobody outside, not admitting she was banging on the door. When Jonna watches TV the following day, the channels start to switch on their own, and the remote is missing. Upon searching for it, Jonna discovers it on the chair behind her. From the corner, a spectral figure snarls, "My house!" Screaming, Jonna rushes back to the couch. That night, Jonna finds herself on her room's floor, seemingly thrown. Margaret is informed by her that there is a visitor in the home. They bolt to Peggy's room, screaming. When the girl's dresser is pushed firmly against their door, she enters the girl's room thinking they are just having fun. The Hodgsons make their way across the street to the Nottinghams, their next-door neighbors, to have her house inspected. Peggy calls the police. The police discover nothing, but are startled when they witness a chair move across the room by itself. Ed is at the Warren residence, drawing a picture of something he says he saw in a dream. Lorraine's vision of the demonic nun was the same one. A noise is heard in the hallway later on when she and their daughter Judy are sitting in the living room. Judy walks outside to have a look. She's staring at the demon nun with horror. Lorraine pursues it into the workspace. It's just the painting, but she swears she sees the nun in the shadows. The painting comes to life as the demon approaches it, indicating that it is still present in the space. Lorraine sees the same vision as before as it snarls as it approaches her. This time, though, we witness Ed, the victim, merely saying, "I'm sorry, Lorraine," before being impaled by a big wooden spike. Before Judy yanks Lorraine out of her tantrum, she begins to scream and make notes in her Bible. Enfield residents learn of the Hodgsons' haunting. A number of paranormal investigators become involved, including Anita Gregory and Maurice Gross, the latter of whom asserts that there is insufficient evidence to support the phenomenon's paranormal nature. In the Hodgson residence, Maurice meets with a news team to conduct interviews with Jonna and Margaret. Jonna appears uneasy throughout the interview and speaks in an elderly man's raspy voice. The entity claims to be 72-year-old Bill Wilkins and demands that everyone vacate his house. The children sleep in the living room of the Nottingham home. Billy discovers a monster that resembles the Crooked Man while exploring the house alone while everyone else is asleep. The monster is chasing Billy and reciting the Nursery rhyme in a terrifying man.